welcome to another episode of Tips and Ideas with Ed Wallace, Midwest Landscaping, www.uniqueenvironments.com. Well, haven't done it in a long time, so I figured I would kick it in today since it rained. We're riding mobile. So we're going to do a short video talking about Kurapia. I've installed quite a few jobs with the Kurapia Utility Groundcover, and just want to give you some inside scoop about Kurapia, some tips and some precautions that you need to understand when you install this fantastic utility ground cover. Kurapia was hybridized and developed by an individual out of Japan like about 10 years ago, and the unique properties behind Kurapia is lack of maintenance from the standpoint of having to cut it like regular grass, cutting the grass every week or every other week. There's no maintenance really involved with it unless you really want to cut it. From the standpoint of watering habits, it's very low water using. Hardly any water is necessary for the Kurapia once it's established. I have had jobs where after a year's time, the client waters possibly like about once or twice a month, depending on what part of the county or what part of the town they're living in. If they live closer to the coast, they're getting away with probably like about once or twice a month. If they live more inland where it's a little bit warmer, they probably do it like about 4 times a month. But the bottom line is they utilize a lot less water by having a Kurapia installed. Another good thing about the Kurapia is it crowds out weeds. Once it's established, weed seeds are not that likely to blow in and establish themselves inside of a Kurapia project, Kurapia lawn, or Kurapia parkway, pathway, whatever you install it into. The virtues of it are phenomenal. It produces quite a few flowers here in Southern California. It'll flower from about April up through October. It's still blooming. In some areas that the weather is still pretty warm, and so the Kurapia is still punching out clover-like flowers, and so it's a long bloomer. Some people, they don't like the flowers because of the bees that it attracts, because it is a bee attractor. Bees love it. It's almost similar to clover, and the bees are busy getting nectar and doing things to take care of themselves. They're not congregating to plan a swarm on anybody that may be in the area. So some people have some ideas that, well, if they get Kurapia, it's going to be the bees are going to attack them and stuff like that. That's not necessarily true. Usually bees only attack when they're being harassed or they're within their areas where their hives are or something like that. They're just being protective. They're probably more afraid of you than you are afraid of them. So living in synergy is a key with bees if you have Kurapia. Just leave them alone, they'll be fine. But if you have people in your family or friends that come over to visit you, if you have that Kurapia like in your backyard or in an area where you entertain, you got to be careful, because you may have guests that may be allergic to bees. You may have people that are afraid of bees, period. They don't want anything to do with it. So you got to keep that stuff in mind when you're installing a Kurapia. You got to think down the road. If you're going to do it in an area where you entertain quite a bit, will it be acceptable to your guests? Is it acceptable to you if you have people in your family that may be allergic to bees? So that's a big consideration you got to think about. The pricing of the Kurapia is not for the faint of heart, because there's only actually 2 growers of the Kurapia. There's one up in Central California, and there's one in the southern part of California that actually has a growing ground over in Arizona also. So it's not like you can just run out to your local nursery and pick up a couple pieces of Kurapia to replace the area or to start out something. You got to order it. You have to special order it from the suppliers, and their delivery schedules are pretty lean, to where it's like they deliver maybe like about once or twice a week. And one of the other suppliers, they recently have decided that they won't deliver anything under, I think it's like 4,000 or 5,000 square foot used to deliver anything between like 500 and up, but for being cost effective, it wasn't cost effective for them, and so they decided that any orders now that people place that they want to put in Kurapia, they got to be at least 4,000 to 5,000 square feet of Kurapia that is on that order for them to deliver. The other supplier, they'll take 500 and above, and sometimes their stuff comes out of Arizona because they're other growing grounds, but they have a growing grounds also in Palm Desert here in the southern part of California. So being able to pick it up or get it, it's not that readily available everywhere, especially in other parts of the country. I'm not sure if there's growers in other states, like in Texas or in Florida and things like that. But here in California, we only have 2 growers of Kurapia that are licensed to basically grow the Kurapia from seed, or however they do it. When you're installing it, one of the keys to making sure that it will take off and do well is after we install it. And I do a lot of Kurapia installations utilizing subsurface drip, and it's a real science to that because the Kurapia is used to being watered overhead at the farm, and to bring it in and install it into a yard situation and automatically figure that this Kurapia is going to start getting its water from below, it's a falsehood. So normally what I have the clients do is we're hand watering, doing overhead watering for at least a week or so, and keeping that Kurapia saturated in order to make sure that the roots are able to take off and to start to establish themselves. And by utilizing a combination of ArborJet Ecologel Solutions, SeaExtra, hormone-based and biostimulant, and Hydretain, which is a soil moisture managing product. By using those 2 in combination, we're able to get a much faster establishment of the roots, and also we're not getting a drying out of the Kurapia because of water needs, especially if you're doing this type of stuff, these installations in the summer when it's warmer, especially here in Southern California. The Hydretain really helps to be able to retain or to have water available to the roots by taking the available water vapor between the pore spaces of the soil with dew water and converting that water vapor over into usable water for the plant roots, whether it be Kurapia, trees, or whatever. So that's one of the best things about Hydretain is the versatility in utilizing it in different types of plant materials, not just for grass. It can be used for fruit trees, shrubs, and a lot of different varieties of potted plants and things like that. The SeaExtra, which is a biostimulant and a hormone, and it's made, one of its base materials is kelp. It's a sea kelp, and that kelp really adds a lot of vigor and strength to the plants and gives it a lot of integrity from the standpoint of when it grows, it's going to be nice and strong and get a good start going on it. So we utilize that to help with the establishment of the roots. We have the clients water overhead for at least about a week or even more to make sure that the Kurapia is going to be well established. We also have the run times going on with the subsurface, so it's not like they got to hand water all the time, because you may have properties that are quite large, and doing it would be not that convenient for a client to have to hand water every day. So we understand that, and in situations like that, we set up a different type of watering system towards making sure that that Kurapia is going to stay moist and be able to take off and not go backwards on us and dry out on us. But once the Kurapia is established, it does really well. So the main trick to the Kurapia is getting it established. Depending on what time of year, depending on what the soil conditions are, soil conditions is very important. We always do soil tests to find out what type of nutrient value is in the soil, what type of absorbency that soil will take, what's the filtration rate and things like that. Especially if you're doing drip, you want to know what your infiltration rate is, and that way when you calibrate the drip tubing, whether it be 0.9, 0.6, or whatever gallons per hour, you can adequately apply the amount of water necessary for whether it be shrubs or Kurapia or trees or whatever. You need to know what the infiltration rate is of told me some different things that I could do in order to be able to take care of the nutsedge. But things happen. I mean, it's not all bliss when you're doing certain types of projects, when you're doing any kind of landscaping. When you think it's all nice and easy, you just see the plants grow and everything. It's not the case. Sometimes you have some really interesting challenges because we're dealing with nature, and nature is unpredictable sometimes. So just keep in mind, you might have some weed seeds that blow in, that may come in with the Kurapia, or maybe existing already in the dirt that you put the Kurapia in, and it decides to want to germinate and rear its little ugly head because all those nice nutrients and stuff you put in for the Kurapia has stimulated the energy levels in different weeds that probably are already there in the soil. So just keep that in mind. Maintenance-wise, there's not too much maintenance at all for the first month or so. Just letting the Kurapia grow so it can get rooted up. And after that, it's kind of to the homeowner's discretion. If they want to do a little bit of spot edging with a line trimmer or electric trimmer or something like that, that's fine. They can just leave it alone and let it go. Let me see. Other than that, if you have other challenges with the Kurapia, the supplier, the sod grower, is always available to talk with them so that you can take care of any kind of challenges you may have as you get your Kurapia established and growing well. So hopefully those couple of tips, those few tips I gave you are helpful. Gives a little bit of insight about Kurapia Utility Groundcover. I installed quite a bit of it. I installed it when it was only available in the plug form, maybe like about 10 or 15 years ago. And the innovations and the different advances that's been done since that time is great, especially the advance of having sod pieces. That really helps out rather than planting divots or plugs. The plugs are just as good as the sod pieces from an economical standpoint. It's just a little bit more maintenance because you got to keep the weeds and stuff out. You got to be patient for it all to grow in. So that's your tip. That's your ideas. Ed Wallace and Midwest Landscaping. www.uniqueenvironments.com. Riding mobile. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit that notification bell so when your boy puts out another video, you can be sure to take a look at it. Give me your comments.